about to add Colorado to the plasma fire list. Just to add another state. You see all those white trees? Those are not aspens. Those are all trees that have lost their bark, and that's what happens as a result of these plasma fires, is that the trees lose their bark from the electromagnetic frequency that activates phototropism, the ability of the plant to inflate and deflate its cells with water. As a result, it flexes the cells so hard it actually flexes the bark right off the tree. So here's another of the classic examples where the end of this branch is burnt on the inside and the outside is less burnt. And so it goes here, and here, and here. And it never likes to focus on these. It's like it really doesn't like to, but there you can see that the ends of these branches are black. And so it's like this all over here, and this is a state park. All these trees across the river, they all lost their bark. See the unburnt wood at the bottom? It's gonna focus, I know it is. It's gonna totally cooperate with me. See that? Unburnt. Yeah. More of the pattern, the sporadic burning pattern here. Here's a good example. Look at this one, how it's burnt on the inside here. But not on the outside. So here's the outside. Anyway, let's just add Colorado to the list of documented plasma fire locations, which so far includes Montana, Arizona, Idaho, Utah, Wyoming, and now Colorado. And I'm pretty sure I saw some of these plasma fire remnants in Washington and Oregon. Here's a good example. See how burnt the underside is, and how that part actually has still, when it focuses like it's gonna someday. You can see this wood is completely unburnt. Anyway, I've shown you enough of these. This is a Colorado State Park. I'll run down here, show you a few more remnants, because basically I'm not even like this. You can tell the burn unburn, the difference between the burn here and the unburn here, and so it goes on back. Need to get me a better camera. I heard the Ken, anyway. You can see right here, that's electricity coursing through the vein of this branch that causes the highly burned spots on top, zero burn on bottom. And then it's basically like this all throughout. I'll go find a couple more good spots. These are probably good examples right here. Yeah, those are good. You see how it's burnt on the inside and not the outside, likewise here. So that's electricity coming up from the ground, of course. I say of course, but this is like new to a lot of people and repetitive and redundant. And that's why I won't be doing a lot of plasma videos anymore, just to document each state, each new state that I come across. But now that we're up to about 6, here's a good example. The outside here is unburnt. This part's all burnt out from the inside. And this was a pretty big, what would you call it? Wood, yeah, that's it. You'd call it wood. Manzanita or sagebrush or whatever those were. What I'm saying is, that was a big piece of wood coming out of the ground. And what's cool like this sometimes, When you take it home, scrub it and wash it and lacquer it, those veins within the wood that got a little bit dark brown, really cool color. It's like a stain or a tint. Alright, that's about it for this one. Here, let me show you what's across. Unless and until I find some really awesome sauce looking like nuclear bomb. The reason those are all white isn't because they're aspens. It's because this fire happened a year ago and they've all lost their bark since the fire. Normal fires don't cause the trees to lose their bark the next year. Only these EMF fires, electromagnetic frequencies, that's the same thing that happens when you put up a cell tower right next to a tree. The tree loses its bark for the same reason that all of those are all white. Because they lost their bark because the electromagnetic frequencies of these plasma fires that are like a radio burst activates the phototropism, the ability of the plant to flex its cells, inflate them and deflate them with water. And it's overactivated with the energy and the electricity and the radio frequencies of the plasma and the solar flares or whatever it is that happens here. It's some sort of high electricity energy burning the plant from the inside out. And that electricity brings with it frequencies that causes the plant to lose its bark the next year. So that's probably about it for this video. So here's a good example. That's the bark of the tree that's fallen from here. And let's see if I can get a good enough shot. You can see that right. I don't know how well the lighting is going to work. Right here, there's a line of burn on the tree. Burnt on the left, unburnt on the right. Fire don't do that. Because if you didn't know any better, you might just say, well, for all I know, trees lose their bark and it falls off the tree like this in great big chunks after a fire. But if you know better, ooh, let's check this one out. This is a pretty cool beach area because I can see what's going to be on the underside of this one. See how this one's burnt on the inside? Untouched here and untouched here. I don't think this was even sticking into the ground. It's like it microwaves it. That's the word I'm looking for. So that's why this bark falls off the tree. The tree got microwaved. That's why there's a burn line going up this trunk right here. Burnt on the left, unburnt on the right, straight line going up. Doesn't look like the lighting's helping too much, but I think you can kind of see it. And my point is, these trees got microwaved, and that's why their bark falls off in these giant swaths. That's not just a normal thing that happens after a fire. Even my trees in my backyard, I've documented how they've been losing their bark. You can see it just hanging off right here, flopping in the wind. And that's what this is. That's what this is. The bark of the tree that just falls off in giant clumps. And then when you look at it up close, you can actually see the burn-unburn pattern on the bark itself. That's what this is. Poor tree got microwaved. Then you look right over here and you can see highly burned here, totally untouched here, and it's the microwave effect. That's how it can gouge out and chew up a piece like this and have totally unburned here, burning out large sections of it all along here with straight line. That may not be straight, there may be a little bit of curve, but it's 100%. 0 on this side, 100% on that side, and there's no phase transition. Where it burned a medium bit, and then a little bit, and then nothing. It just goes from all to nothing with a very fine line in between. That's how you know this was all microwaved. Electricity burning it from the inside out. And this poor tree learned these lessons firsthand. Another thing you can see is these nubs that are highly black. This is what I started out showing you in the very first of the video. This is highly black here, and likewise here. And this stub, this stump, this branch that came out here, you can see the line right there between the burn on the right and the unburn on the left. And that's the same phenomenon, or the same burn pattern that we're looking at here, here, and here. Because wherever there's a branch or a knot, that's what that is. That's a knot in the wood, that's another one there, and that's another one there. And anyone who's ever burned any wood or cut any wood knows that's the densest part of the wood. It's also the hardest part of the wood when you're trying to put a saw through it. So it burns last in a real fire, in a regular fire. It burns first in a microwave fire because the electricity in the microwave is coming from the ground up. And that's where there's the most fibers. It's the densest, that's why it's the hardest, and there's the most fibers of the tree running to these points right there. And those fibers act like copper wire, drawing the electricity from below up into the tree. Poor tree. Poor tree. I'm trying to think of a good joke, you know, how we like our food nuked but not our beaches. But it all just seems too cheesy at this point, so I'll just finish off a little bit of more footage. Pixels, I should say. Footage is from a time when we used film. And of course we no longer do. So I will quit babbling incoherently and just end the video now unless and until I find something more worth videotaping that just isn't more redundant. See, I said it again. Recording, that's the word. You can see the spotty, inconsistent burn pattern here. Very good example of it. Burn here, burn there, burn here, burn there, but then unburned in between. That's microwaved wood. So, this area has a lot of the obvious signs. But in your area, you might just find a few smaller signs and pieces of wood like this that gives you the clue, and then you can look around and find the larger signs that aren't as unnoticeable. Once you know what you're looking at, that's pretty noticeable. But the average person would pass this right by and think it's just fire, and they wouldn't notice that. They wouldn't notice how inconsistent that burn pattern is until they really thought about it and looked at it hard and thought, yeah, how does fire do that? And once you realize fire doesn't do that, electricity does, it jumps right out at you everywhere you look. And then when your neighbor's house burns up and you see this kind of wood scattered throughout the yard, someone told me the other day, well, some of that wood looks kind of like the wood in my fireplace when I burn it and it doesn't burn all the way. And they're just trying to plot points in their mind, in the landscape of their mind. They're trying to find landmarkers, reference points within which they can put this into context. That is trying to assimilate it into your current worldview. That's not going to work. In order to adapt, you're going to have to accommodate and make some new areas in your mind, not just try to squeeze this in between two land markers that already exist. That's called assimilation, trying to fit this into a shape of a box in your mind of what already exists and saying, well, some of that wood in my fireplace ends up spotty burned, not like this it don't. But that's just a coping mechanism, and we're trying to make sense of it, and that's what people end up doing, is trying to find reference points within their mind of things they already know and associate this with that. But it just don't work that way. You got to make a new box. Except this is uncharted territory. This is not going to fit nice and neatly between two things you already know and understand or have seen before. This is unlike anything anyone's ever seen. Accepting that right from the beginning makes it a lot easier for you to begin to understand and contemplate and comprehend what it is you're looking at. Don't try to fit it in between two preconceived ideas. It's not going to fit. Your hot dog might look like that when you pull it out of the microwave. All bubbled up here and there and uncooked in other places. But that's ultimately what's happening here. That's why it cooks it from the inside out. And what I'm showing you is the black end of this one. The focus ain't working too well, but when you start seeing the black tips, look around, you'll see some of the other telltale signs, and then you start noticing it and you can identify it and make it its own category of plasma fire. Oh, that's right. Mr. Logic Before Authority made another video of those simultaneously exploding fires in California, and he's calling them plasma fires without any caveat or hesitation. He's one of the places where I got some of my original information. Like Tesla saying I can place the power of the sun anywhere on planet Earth at any time. He's also where I got some of my information about underground lightning, but he has yet to call it plasma fires until now. He also happens to be a subscriber of my channel. Great minds think alike. That, and we both got an eye upgrade around the same time. That was the title of one of his videos. I received an eye upgrade. Right around the same time that I was making videos going out to Missouri showing you stuff in the rocks and trees and like basically everywhere within the pattern that creates our reality. The Fibonacci sequence is in everything. The way the river forks and the way the trees branch and the way that a leaf forms and the way your nose and eyes and ears are all placed on your head, the golden mean, the golden ratio, that's like a fractal pattern that replicates itself everywhere in our world. And I was seeing things that I can't even see right now when I look back at those videos. But I'm seeing things now that I didn't see then. So old Daniel Alexander is just calling it like he sees it. Plasma fire. That's what these are. And the people in California are learning it firsthand like this tree. So for their sake and for your own sake, we need to come to terms with what's going on here and accept our fate if that's what needs to be. All the bark on the ground everywhere. How does that work? I don't know. Nuked wood. Nuked wood. One last look at all the trees across the river. All the trees. Now that you've seen one up close, let's remember what we were looking at the first of the video. And even these ones that are all black, that aren't white, they just haven't lost their bark yet. Give it another year. They probably will all lose their bark as well. So, this is what's happening. My next video, I'll just leave that one for the next video. I'm going to tell you about a certain grin, but I'll keep that for the next video. But yeah, notice all the all the white trees. Those are all trees that have lost their bark. Here's some more examples of the microwaved wood. And how you can see that it comes from underground, like this part here. If it was fire on the ground, this part would be burnt, but it's not. Only the inside here. Microwaved wood everywhere. The black tips, that's another thing that always gives it away. And the inconsistent burn pattern, this burn line where it goes from 100% to 0 with a very fine line, whether it's a curvy or straight line, it's a fine line. There is no transition between real hot and nothing. A couple more spots like that. Another prime example. See how weird this one is? It's like burnt on the outside but not the inside. That's almost a first, but notice this little piece right here? Anyway, redundant. Black tips. Nuked wood. Nuked roots. Here's a good example of just how weird this stuff works. I don't know if this one's plugged into the ground through any roots or not, but here's another good example right here where it's got the line between highly burned and unburned. These didn't burn. And you notice there's nothing on the ground around here. There's no burnt weeds. All these, even if this happened a year ago, there would still be burnt weeds on the ground. There's not. It's like it only microwaves it, like when you put something in the microwave, something with like a dense bowl of soup will attract a lot more of the energy than the piece of bread next to it. And so it only hits big pieces of wood and leaves the less dense fibers untouched. But the pattern that it leaves, there's space under there, unburnt fuel under there, and the log leading up to it's completely unburned, so the electricity like traveled from the inside and just sizzled the end off from the end in. Inside out, really weird burn patterns. Poor trees. But it's still pretty. There's still a lot of fun to be had while we're here doing what we're doing. I mean, look at that. Look at those mountains. So it's not all doom and gloom. It's actually time to have the time of your life. That's what this calling is all about. That's what these signs are all about. Letting you know you ain't got forever. Enjoy the beauty, experience your life, and embrace it. Whatever you came to do, get her done. And there's a lot to do left. I'm gonna be hitting Glenwood Springs tomorrow on the way back. I hit Thermopolis, Wyoming a couple days ago, 3 or 4 days ago. I hit Crystal Hot Springs in Honeyville, Utah yesterday or the day before, and I'm hitting Glenwood Springs on I-70 tomorrow on the way back. I was gonna do it tonight, but it's a little bit windy, a little bit chilly, and when I was driving by and saw all this, I thought, well, I might as well add Colorado to the list, because I've been documenting these plasma fires, and it's kind of getting redundant, but I wanted to add Colorado to the list, and anytime I'm in a new state where I can make another video of that state, I'll do that. But other than that, the plasma fire videos are getting kind of redundant. How awesome is that? That's pretty awesome. And that's pretty awesome. I want to go to Devil's Tower. I think that's what I'm going to hit on the way back. I hear a lot of people get abducted over there. I'm going to go roll the dice. Check out the video link in the description to Lifted, a Pixar movie. It's hilarious. I'm going to go see if I can't get a more experienced pilot over there at Devil's Tower.